guys, it's Gamer Ahmer here. So today we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at this Vectrex system that's in front of me. And we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at some fun games that I have for the Vectrex and ones that I highly recommend. So just looking at it, it's not a typical video game console that you would think of today. Now this is actually from the 80s. It was released in 1982 and only lived a couple years and was discontinued in 1984 due to the video game market crash that happened in 83. So when this system first came out, it was actually pretty pricey, and still to this day it's pretty hard to find, and it holds its value. And if you try and find one that's complete in the box, you're gonna pay a lot of money for it unless you get really lucky. So I actually do not have a complete in-box system, but I have this fully functioning system, and I'm super glad that I have it in my collection. So as you see here, we have this 9-inch monitor, and right here this folds down, and here we have this Vectrex controller. Now if you take a closer look at it, it has this little joystick right here, and there are 4 buttons on it. And different games have different options for these buttons. Right here, you'll also notice in here where the controller connects, that is where the on button is. There's also the volume button. And on the back we have a brightness adjuster. So to play this system, right here on the side we have a port where you can go ahead and plug the cartridges into. And right here along this inner tray, you can go ahead and put an overlay that goes along with that game. So to go ahead and better understand what that means, we'll take a closer look at some games. So here we have Bezerk. Now this is what the cartridge looks like. It's pretty small. It has a sticker right here with the game on it and says Vectrex. And then on the back there's a screw right there, and then it looks like a regular old cartridge for the Atari or something of that era. And it just goes ahead and secures right there in the side of the system. And then right here we have this Bezerk overlay. So, complete in-box game, you would have the box and the insert. And the insert just goes along and sits right in here. So it's pretty simple, and behind the insert is a white light that they went ahead and used a vector graphics and vector system. So a white light would emulate from behind the screen, and based on these video game overlays, it would change the color to make the gameplay a little bit more exciting. So this was pretty sweet during this time. A lot of these games are arcade style games, and a lot of them are actually ports from the original arcade machine. So this system is pretty simple, pretty fun, and it makes you feel like you have a little arcade machine right in your home. So this is a pretty sweet system. I highly recommend it. And this right here, this Bezerk game, is actually one of my favorite games of all time. So pretty much what you end up doing is you have this little human figure, and you have all these little evil robots. So they end up firing at you, and there's some walls that you're not actually allowed to bump into because you'll get electrocuted. So the goal is to kind of use this joystick, and each of these buttons are firing buttons. So you run around and you actually have to destroy all of these little robots. And if you can clear out a stage before this little evil guy, as I call him, Evil Otto, you end up getting extra bonus points. So the goal of the game is to keep going into different rooms, different levels, and to destroy as many robots as you can, and try not to get attacked by this Evil Otto figure that goes ahead and just bounces across the whole screen, and he's allowed to go through the walls. So it makes it a little bit more challenging when he doesn't have to go around this little maze. He can just cut right on through and chase you. So this is a great game. I highly recommend it, and it's one of my favorites for the system. And then next we have another one of my favorite games. So right here we have the Fortress of Narzod. So this game sounds pretty sweet, and this is the overlay for the system. So it just quickly pops on out, and now you have the next one. So this game plays a little bit different. So this one, there are different levels. So the first 3 levels, you actually have this narrow pathway that appears to be going upwards. And once you defeat all of the enemies that keep spawning in these pathways, you advance on to the next level. So the end goal is the Fortress of Narzod. You want to go ahead and work your way through each of these levels to go ahead and beat the boss battle. So he is the keeper of the Fortress of Narzod. So you actually have to go against him. And each of the 3 levels prior to this final boss battle are actually very difficult. It took me several tries to even advance to the next one. So pretty much you're a little ship, and you have to fire at these enemies and they advance towards you. Now the crazy thing about this is your bullets can actually ricochet off of the walls. Now you can use that to your advantage and you can get some good angles on the enemies, but it can also be very destructive when they ricochet back and they can actually hit you. So I've had my frustrations with this game, but it just kept making me more excited and determined to go ahead and beat this game and try and keep getting better each time that I play. And it's quite addictive. I highly recommend this game as well. And then for this next game, we have HyperChase. Now this is actually one of the racing games for the system. Now I actually had a lot of fun with this game as well. So while playing, I noticed that there are actually 2 different modes of this game. So the first of 2 games that you can actually play with this cartridge, you can play a long race, and if you end up dying or losing a life, you just keep picking up and respawning. So there are endless lives, and you don't have to worry about, ending the game. You can just keep advancing. And then the second game that you can play on this cartridge, you have 5 lives, and you have to try and advance as far as you can down the road without smacking into other cars and crashing during turns. So that one puts a little bit more of a challenge on this because you have 5 lives to make it as far as you can. Whereas the first game, you can get some practice and get some feel for the game and the controls because it's a little bit different than video games today. It's a little bit more challenging in my opinion, and it's a pretty fun, pretty addictive game. It definitely has that arcade feel to it, and I recommend this game as well. And then we have this Star Castle game. So this one looks a little bit different than the others. It has a circle right here with some different colors. So this one I actually found to be pretty challenging and fun as well. So the object of the game is to end up shooting the middle of this circle right here. There's actually a little circular light that's in the center, and there are layers of walls that surround that. So your goal is to go around the outside and to shoot those walls to go ahead and get the middle exposed so that you can go ahead and shoot and destroy that. Once you shoot the middle object, everything around it blows up and you advance to the next level. But the difficult part of this is that once you start shooting the walls, you have to leave a couple sections of the outermost wall, or else it'll regenerate new walls once they're all completely shot. So the goal is to shoot a couple spaces on each of the different layers so that you can get to the middle, and it gets even more difficult once you expose that middle. It fires back rapidly at you, so it becomes even more difficult. So you have to be pretty precise with your movements and your strategy to go ahead and shoot that middle section to go ahead and blow up everything. And then this last game right here. We have the game called Scramble. Now this one, I actually had a lot of fun playing this game. So Scramble, they also released as an arcade machine. And this is actually a really fun side-scrolling shoot-'em-up game. It's definitely old school and has that old classic feel to it. The goal of this game is to shoot all of the enemies that come in your path and try not to run out of fuel. So pretty much you're a ship and you have to keep shooting the enemies as they come into your path. And you want to try and keep on going without running out of fuel. So this is a pretty addictive game. It's pretty fun. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I spent a lot of time playing it and trying to get better at the movements. But this is a great classic shoot 'em up game, and I highly recommend it. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos and comment below on what you'd like to see next.